Hello, everybody. Dave Whitmarsh here. We're saw this presentation from Klaus. He did another network, and thought it was pretty entertaining and showed some real good value for customers. So I thought we'd run it here. So welcome, Klaus, and looking forward to seeing what you have up your sleeves today.
Thank you, David. Thank you for the invitation. Let's talk about entering the world of Agile compensation. I'm the CEO at Percival.live. Percival is the only tool that allows a team to split a pie fairly. Okay, the pie can be salary budget, bonus, equity. It solves a problem within Agile teams, because it's really easy if you have like individual work. It's easy it's easier to evaluate, to appraise a person's work if he's working individually. Inside a team, collaborative, multidisciplinary, right, multi-skilled team, it's much harder to appraise how much each person's contribution was. And it's really important to pay people fairly. So we need to get this appraisal from the team itself. So the tool it applies an elegant algorithm, produces precise, actionable results, which do not require calibration from management. It's collaborative, intuitive, low effort, and low stress. Okay, so this is like a spoiler slide here. The outcomes are a perception of transparency and fairness for the team, more and better collaboration, less individualism, greater engagement. Okay, this is our final goal, right? Better collaboration, greater engagement, reduction of turnover. You can think of this tool as the next step in the evolution of 360-degree reviews. Okay, it delivers on the promise of 360-degree reviews. Why is pay fairness so important? Okay, this survey by PayScale, okay, they surveyed over 500,000 employees from their employee engagement research. And when it comes to employee satisfaction, the result reveals that how they feel about the pay process in terms of fairness and transparency is 4.5 times more impactful on how satisfied they are than how they're paid relative to the market. Okay, so
that's crazy, right? So yeah. Sorry, Klaus, just to jump in on that. So
yeah, sure.
So the transparency and the insight onto how and who got what is actually more important than the end result.
Transparency and fairness, yes, is 5.4 times more important than how much people are paid compared to the market. And this is PayScale's business. Okay, they would have an interest on pumping up this number, but even so, their study showed that pay fairness and transparency is much more important to people, right? We intuitively have this, if anyone who had, siblings, brothers, sisters, or kids, knows how important it is to be fair, right? As a parent, it's better that you arrive home without any presents, rather than like a small present for one, a gift for one kid, and a big gift, expensive gift for another. They'll fight. They won't be happy that they have something, right? They'll fight because you were unfair. So it's even better if you have nothing for them, right? Than different things. So it's more effective to pay team members fairly than it is to pay them more, right? Just throwing money at a problem might even make things worse. If you give raises to the wrong people, you'll be wasting more money, and you'll have worse results, worse engagement in your team. You'll have resentment. Okay, so what about Agile teams? This is what we're going to talk about, right? Teams which are collaborative, multi-skilled, diverse, autonomous, adaptive. How do we know how much each person has contributed? It's like a teacher, right? A teacher assigns a project to a group of students. The teacher, let's say 5 students, the teacher doesn't know how much each student has contributed, right? Without doing like an exam later on or something like that. But the students, the group knows how much each person has contributed, right? Normally it's one or two people do the work, and the other just put their name on the project, right? It is impossible within a collaborative multi-skilled team. It is impossible to have an objective appraisal. Some teams, some companies, it's like a fool's errand. It's like searching for the holy grail. It's trying to have 100% objective appraisals with tons of criteria and tons of scales, and rules all over the place. One of our clients that currently uses Percival, they had like 11 pages of instructions just in their previous appraisal system, just for people to know how to appraise their friends, because they were trying to be 100% objective. So we have to embrace subjectivity, okay? And the fairness comes from having the team express their opinion, express their fairness, express their subjectivity, rather than a single manager or a small group of managers, which can be biased and are separate from the team, right? So we embrace subjectivity, and the problem gets even worse when we scale, to multiple sub-teams. Okay, you have these little dots are the people, and the colors are the different sub-teams, right? Different like squads or smaller teams. And these connections are appraisals that people can make, right? Among the team, you can have normally much more appraisals, right? Everyone knows everyone's work. But across teams also you have some, right? You have a few appraisals spanning teams, okay? This is a possibility. Okay, so if you apply traditional reviews or like 360-degree reviews, ideally you would have these reviews coming from the teams, right? Using something like behaviorally anchored rating scales. And this would produce, right, a compensation pie. If the compensation pie is 100%, this would give me a result saying, okay, so this person, contribute the least, and so on until this person who got 8.42% of the pie contribute the most. And then management can make a decision based on this of giving people raises or promoting people, that kind of thing, right? So this would be ideal. Unfortunately, what happens if you do traditional reviews, and if you have a formula, right, that given the scale will produce some sort of pay grade or something, and you add things up, you'll get more than 100%. You'll get an inflation effect, because people, it'll become a political process, right? People want to help each other. People are friends. People are clever, right? They're optimistic. They're ambitious. So all these characteristics, which are good things, will make people appraise each other, too favorably, and it will be an inflation of results, and it will be like everyone deserves raises all the time, and it's just not realistic, right?
Well, from the management side, it's not realistic, but from an employee side, it's quite demotivating. I can recall, many years back that I got what I would have thought, was a great increase, or it's not a great increase, a great review. And, my increase by the time it was all said and done was minimal. And then, based off the review that I had gotten from the peers, I just expected more, right?
Sure.
And if I had known, right, that, that it wasn't going to factor in or be influenced, I wouldn't have been so disappointed, right? But it left a bitter taste in my mouth, right? And there's really, and that happens right across the board. I love your circle. That sort of shows, because I would think that would be 85% of the initial rounds going through a compensation review process, right?
Yeah, it's this inflation effect. We can observe it. All the teams that I consult when we're starting with this process, they recognize this effect, and it's really frustrating, as you said. People have great expectations that they were appraised well by their peers. Of course, it's like, as I said, a political thing, right? People are helping each other, and then management has to come and moderate or calibrate, as they say, right? Or do like a forced curve or something, and it's really bad. So this is the situation. Okay, so how is the situation patched, right? An attempt to solve the situation. You get the reviews, instead of producing a result directly, you have you have management doing calibration, and they will arbitrate the results. Okay, so you have hours spent by the team members on these reviews. It's a very stressful process, right? Days spent by managers on calibration. and on the cycle as a whole. One of our customers had he was a manager, a team of maybe 80 people, right? Several sub teams, and he spent 22 hours just doing calibration.
Wow.
Every quarter, right? It's like 3 working days every quarter just doing calibration. It's insane, right? And then management arbitrates results in the end. Okay, it's a closed door process. You can't have 80 people sitting in a meeting, right? A calibration meeting. It's not realistic. So it's an indirect, non-transparent, and perceived as unfair, right? It's a stressful process. And many companies, like 5-6 years ago, decided to abolish performance reviews altogether, right? They have since come back because they realize that there's nothing they can do. You know, how are you going to decide on people's raises if you don't do any sort of performance review, right? So we don't want this. What we want, okay, ideally is this. Okay, we want the appraisals to produce the result directly. We still want to have management oversight, okay, to see, you know, maybe the team is discriminating against someone, or the team doesn't value a particular skill. For example, there's a COBOL programmer in the team, a single COBOL programmer, and no one values this person, but he's strategic to the company. So management can decide to, you know, interfere if necessary. But in general, right, it's minutes spent by the team members doing the appraisal. We'll see how it works soon. Management has oversight. It produces direct actionable results, right? Because we already start from a starting point, right? The paradigm is we're splitting a pie. So the pie is 100%. How are we going to split this pie, right? So if I say, okay, David, you're going to earn more this time, I believe you have contributed more, the others will earn less automatically. If I say you should earn less, then the others will earn more automatically, right? I can't say everyone should earn more, because so this is the paradigm we have, and it is not a trivial algorithm. It's not something you can do on an Excel spreadsheet. To have people, to have many people doing appraisals in this form, like a relative appraisal, and still produce an actionable result, right? This is the algorithm we have implemented. So let's take an example. Okay, we have this 6-person team. Okay, Anand, Diana, Bruno, Julia, Kelly, and Peter. So this is Anand's opinion. If you ask Anand's opinion, hey Anand, what you think would be fair pay for this team? You know, he has sort of a vague opinion, like, oh, Kelly, you know, she has contributed the most, and second came Ayana, and then there's sort of a gap, and further down came Bruno and Peter. This is Anand's opinion. Okay, and Julia is outside here on the right, because he doesn't know about Julia's work. Julia's new to the team. He hasn't worked with her yet, so she's out of his opinion. This is, if I ask Ayana, what you think, you know, a fair pay would be for people in the team? She believes, you know, Kelly came first, and then Anand came second. In her view, Peter and Julia are tied here in third place, and Bruno came last, further down. Okay, so fairness is fairness. How do you come to fairness? Fairness is different for different people. You can't be 100% fair, because people will have different opinions, right? So you have to take into account, you have to be as fair as possible, taking everyone's opinion into account, right? This is how you get to the fairest possible result for a team. Okay, so asking Bruno, what's your opinion? He believes Kelly and Ayana are tied, you know, with the greatest contribution, then Anand, and further down, Julia and Peter. If I ask Julia, she believes it's first Ayana, then Kelly, then Peter, and then Bruno, and she doesn't know about Anand's work. She has no opinion on how much Anand has contributed to the team. And this is Kelly, right? She believes it's Ayana, Anand, Julia, and then Peter and Bruno tied here. Okay. And lastly, Peter's opinion. So Percival is the only tool with an algorithm that balances relative appraisals like this, achieving the fairest possible result. Okay, we will ask people about their opinion, what they consider to be fair, and Percival will produce a result slicing the pie, okay, fairly like this. So how do people express their opinion, right? Let the movie start again, and then okay. So if I'm doing an appraisal, I'm saying, okay, Jamie has the highest contribution, and then in second place, I think, you know, Kelly and Kim came in second, and Alex was the last. Okay. So each person, this is Julia's opinion. Okay, this is how she expresses her opinion within the tool, right? Using the tool. So it's a very easy, intuitive, drag and drop interface where she can appraise her peers. She can let a level, skip a level if she wants. So each level here represents a 20% difference in appraisal. Okay. You can have infinite levels. We're just showing 5 here, but you have infinite levels up and down. It's an exponential scale, right? Some of our customers use 14. The customer that uses the most uses 14 levels. They have from the intern up to the CEO, everyone in the same appraisal round. Okay, 65 people in the same appraisal round. Appraisals are relative. Yep.
Sorry, Klaus, I was just going to say, before you leave the slide, are you going to talk about the blue boxes?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so keep going.
Mm-hmm. These blue, mysterious blue boxes here.
Yeah.
Okay. It's much easier. Okay. Doing relative appraisals is a natural, this is how our brain works as human beings, right? If I have 2 musical notes, if we're going to sing it like a note, right? And ask you, okay, what note is this? Very few people have an absolute pitch, right? An absolute ear. Right. But if I sing 2 notes and I ask you which one is the higher note, which one is the lower, most people, it's really easy to know which note was higher or lower. Or if I have 2 lights shining, which one is shining brighter? It's easy for me to just say, right, to appraise which light is shining brighter. But if I had to absolutely rate, how many lumens is this light bright shining, I have absolutely no idea. So this is the same with people. It's easier for us. We all. Actually, it's inevitable for us to form this opinion as we're working with people. I can say, hey, Dave is a guy who contributes a lot, and this other person isn't. This month she's slacking for some reason. Maybe she has a personal problem, or I don't know, or maybe she's studying to do something else, but she's contributing less this person, right, this month. And it's easy to have a relative appraisal. If I have to change this into absolute dollars, okay, should Dave get $17,000 a month or $15,500? It's it's very, very hard to do an absolute appraisal. So relative appraisals are actually inevitable in our nature as we're working with people. So people will simply express that, right? Express that appraisal that they already have. And doing a relative appraisal is the only thing that makes actionable results possible. If we do absolute appraisals, everyone will be rated as being good. Everyone will get raises all the time, and it's completely useless. Okay. So they're intuitive, they're second nature to us. And these blue boxes here are the degree of certainty. So I'm saying, Julia is saying, so this degree of certainty is very low, low, high, very high. Okay, from 0 to 1. It's like a weighting that she's giving her own appraisals. She'll have a smaller influence on Bruno than she'll have on Peter. Okay, her influence here is 1, and here it's 0.3. Okay, it's a lower influence. Anand isn't even on her appraisal because she doesn't know anything about Anand, so he isn't even here on the picture. This is Bruno's opinion. Okay, he believes Kelly and Diana are tied up here. So we simply implemented a tool which captures the essence of what it is to express, fairness in compensation for each person. How, the levels are how much it believes each person has contributed, and the certainty here represents, how well you know this person's work.
Right. So if Kelly, for instance, then assuming that some of these folks are all over the world or working from home or different offices, but Kelly comes on a call every once a month or whatnot, and she just appears that she knows it all, right? Like she just seems like, hey, this Kelly's got it all together. She completely understands.
Solves the problems, gives suggestions, helps people.
Yeah. And so you might rank her high. You might rank her incredibly high, but the reality is you have no basis of opinion for that, right? So you could rank her on your perceptions high, but you you know,
Low
might fill
certainty.
in the blue boxes because you're uncertain. And
Mm-hmm.
then that would allow the managers of that person that says, yeah, you know, Kelly's a great talker, but you know, she's got an attendance problem. She's
Mm-hmm.
not a team player. You know, she's kind of
Mm-hmm.
a show off, and
Mm-hmm.
it sort of could point out some of those
So
bigger issues.
So some people will have this perception that she is a you know, great contributor, but only once a month, as you said, right? So these people will put a small, just one box, let's say. Okay, I just see her once a month. She seems to, you know, be on the top of the game, but she's only, you know, low certainty. And then other people who work day to day with her, you know she is maybe arrogant. She, you know, she is late all the time. She doesn't do her work. She's really good at presentations at meetings, but
Yeah.
she doesn't do her work. So these people will
Or
probably,
she could even be just sharing Peter's information, right? She's just,
could be,
you know, yeah.
could be someone else's information. So these people will rate her lower, who know her day to day, and will have a greater certainty. And this will impact her result more than, you know, the low certainty appraisals. So in the when everyone is done doing their appraisals, which take like, you know, 15 minutes, even if you have a 300-person team, you will only appraise the people that you know, that you work with, maybe 15, 20 people at, you know, at most. You won't, no one will appraise 300 people. So it takes like 10, 15 minutes to carefully, you know, consider, think about, and do a, you know, a careful appraisal of your team. And then the manager presses a button, and Percival will find the balance of all these appraisals, relative appraisals, and find these numbers here. Okay, so Anand in the team's view, right, deserves 17.1%. Percentage of compensation budget deserved by team member: Ayana 19.3, Bruno 12.3, Julia 15.2, Kelly 21.2, and Peter 14.9. Okay, so you get this result, and then the manager will decide. Okay, so it seems that Bruno is asking for a raise. Let's say Bruno comes to ask for a raise, and he already is one of the largest salaries, and the team is saying, "Hey, Bruno, your contributions are not that good, right?" So the manager will not give an unfair raise to Bruno, right, and create resentment in the team's view. For a small number of people, 5, 6, this is not, you know, as useful as, you know, as it is as numbers increase with the teams, right? Let me skip here. Just I'll go back there for a second. So this is a result with 35 people. This is actually one of our customers. They published this result. They're very big on transparency, and they had 35 people in 6 different squads in the same performance round. The person with the lowest contribution had 2.1% of the pie, and the person with the greatest contribution 4.7% of the pie. Okay. Imagine you as a manager having to decide, calibrate on people's salaries, and you have something like this to, you know, which is the actual opinion of the team. It's the expression of the team's collective opinion to decide, you know, who should get a raise and maybe who should be let go if you need to let someone go, right? Another important data that Percival will give you is, remember those certainty values, right, from 0 to 1. If you add them up, right, for the appraisals that the person has made, you get these green bars, this green number, which is the knowledge, how well they know the team. Okay, so this person, if I add up all the certainties, this is how much, the green bar is how much each person knows the team. And in brown is the notoriety. Okay, it's how well the team knows this person. Is the sum of the certainties of the appraisals that this person has received. So this gives you an idea of the reliability, of how reliable these numbers are. Okay, in this team, no one was below 10 in reliability, right, in notoriety, and the average here is 14. So it's like 14 people have appraised you. When you add up all the little bits, it's like 14 people have appraised you with 100% certainty. That is, like, you know, incredibly reliable. There's no other process, you know, unless you spend days appraising everyone. There's no other process that they will get even close to such reliable numbers. Okay. So as a manager, if I see someone, if there was some number here that's very low, someone new to the team, for example, I would not, have any, make a decision of raising this person or letting this person go based on a small, small notoriety of how the team knows this person, right? And the manager also has access. This information, by the way, by default is only visible to the manager, right, to the admin on the tool, and optionally it can be shared with the team. So if you can start off having the information, just manager's eyes only, and as you gain confidence with the tool, you can open and gain transparency, further improve the perception of fairness within the team. This is the so the raw appraisals are also available to the manager. So you can sort them right by the appraiser. So here is Sydney's appraisals. Sydney has appraised Alex with a certainty of 0.3%. This was his opinion. This was the team's result. And this column is important. It's the difference in opinion, okay, in levels between this appraisal, right, how Sydney has appraised Alex, and the team's result. So Sydney is appraising Alex 0.4 levels above the team's opinion, 0.2 for Jamie. His opinion and the team's coincided for Kelly. It's the same, okay, 0 difference in opinion. Andre and Kim, 0.1 and 0.5 below, okay. So you can use this to detect, for example, people who want to cheat, right? Let's say Sydney and Alex, colluded to cheat. I'll appraise you well, so you can appraise me well. And you could see a number here, maybe 2-3 levels above the team's opinion, right? And then you can go and look on the other side. Okay, let's see how Alex appraised Sydney. You can go and take a look. If this number was also like 2-3 levels above, the manager, you can call these people and say, hey, what are you doing? Why are you friends? Why are you appraising each other so well? Most of the times people have a good reason. Right. Oh, no one is seeing this, but Sydney is, she's working like 15-hour days and fixing all our bugs. And every time there's a critical bug in the system, she goes there and fixes it, blah, 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 and no one else is seeing this. Okay, so this person has a good reason to disagree. That's perfect. This is what we want, right? We want different opinions. We want to integrate everyone's fairness, right? But if there's no good explanations, like, well, you have detected an attempt to cheat. So people.
And can you alter that in the back end if you bust them?
So you can ask people to do their appraisals again. It's better. Simply, please, be more conscientious when doing your appraisal. And Percival will automatically cap outliers, okay, above 0.5 or above and below. Okay, so the maximum influence of a single individual will be half a level. Okay, you'll never be able to have someone pull someone like 5 levels up or 6 levels down. So the result is actually a team's result, and not a single individual influencing the team. Results are incredibly stable. Even if I remove everyone's opinion, a single person's entire appraisals, the results, if within 30-35 people, the results will change very, very little. They're super stable. When you add up this total here, differences in opinion, you get 0 for the appraiser. If you do the same thing for any appraised and you add the numbers, you get a total of 0 as well. Okay. This internally, this number is capped to 0.5 and this number is capped to negative 0.5. Okay, so if you add up these numbers internally, you'll get 0. This is the magic. Okay, this is what the algorithm, Percival's algorithm, does. It manages to 0, right, to balance out all differences in opinion for all appraisers and appraised simultaneously in an exponential scale with partial information. It's not everyone appraising everyone. So this is the magic, let's say, that you can't simply do it on an Excel spreadsheet and do a simple average, right? These are a few companies that have already used Percival. We make some of our most important decisions with the help of Percival, including how we distributed ownership of the company itself. I don't know if some folks know the Ready. They have used Percival for many years, and they issued every year they issued a stock, right? They issued shares in the company, and they shared it among the consultants. So we're like 25 consultants using Percival. This is another company, the Web Goal Group. One of our biggest challenges was a salary review. Percival helps us a lot. The team can quickly make the appraisal, and the result we get are the foundation for our decisions. How can people get started? You can start with Percival alongside your current process. Okay, it's very non-intrusive. 15 minutes per team member is enough to express, your fairness. You can start with the results for managers' eyes only, as I said. Then they use Percival as a result to input their decisions, as input to their raise decisions and so on. And then you can gradually remove from your old process the parts that you believe are no longer necessary. And as the team gains confidence in the process, you can increase the transparency of the results to the team. That's it. If you have any questions?
Yeah, I really should do a better job here. Not only with a couple things, I should have put some housekeeping up. So this will be available. You can see the deck, and we'll get you the archive if you want it. So don't worry about that. But one thing that I'm curious about is what's the general feedback from from people that implement it? Like, do they have problems? Do they love it? I know you talked this morning, shot me an email with some good news that a couple of your customers that you have upgraded, upgraded, and they're taking it right across the company. So that's awesome.
Yeah, companies not normally start with one or two smaller teams, and then they gain confidence and they implement it to one of our customers is raising from 4 to 11 teams, and the other one from 1 to 8 teams. It was the recent news, right?
So there is a question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so managers, they really like the tool because they no longer, even if they want to be fair, right, with when they have to do the calibration, the work is so daunting. Like the manager I mentioned that had to spend 22 hours doing calibration. Now his work is much easier, right? And the people who actually use the actual team members, some of them like the tool, some of them don't. Why? Because results, the feedback they get from the team is different than what they used to get from management, right? Maybe managers thought they were really, really hot, but the team is saying, look, your contribution isn't so important, right? So at first, some people, to be honest, will not like the results, and they'll criticize the tool because, in fact, it's the team feedback happening, right? So they can get feedback on how to improve. Much more concrete, much more real feedback than just oh, everything is fine, everything is good. Be less of a perfectionist. That's what people are. The kind of feedback people give, right?
Yeah, there is a question that came in here. So it said, can you weigh the manager's rating versus the team members?
No, we don't have different weights for different people in the tool. But since manager has the final say, right? Manager has oversight. If the results are just for manager's eyes only, manager can still decide whatever decision he wants to take and use the results as an input. Many of our customers use it this way. They only see the result and they make their decision. So if management still has to heavily, if the team isn't mature in your view, isn't ready to do these appraisals themselves, you can still use it as an input, and management can make their own decision. We don't have like different weights for different people currently in the tool.
Right. So what's interesting about that, and Laurie, if that answers your question, or there's a follow-up, please feel free to ask
Mm-hmm.
another. But you know what I find interesting about this is, you know, let's just hypothetically run through some scenarios, right? So employee engagement, big issues in HR. So we have
Mm-hmm.
employee engagement, we have turnover. Um, there's always questions about favoritism and bias and all sorts of things. Well, really, some of those issues, you know, if you just use retention um, as an instance, so in theory, the harder workers are going to get paid a bigger piece of the pie, right? So that should help them. So they not only are they going to make more money, they're also going to get tremendous recognition, you know, if the data is shared back, right? So that's great for retention. It might not be a bad thing to and to let some of the pro performers know exactly where they stand. Either give them an opportunity to pull up the socks and try to contribute more. Um, and then if you take in biases, over the years we've all worked with somebody that goes for lunch, with the same manager every week or every day, and you wonder, is that really, impacting the overall um, is
Mm-hmm.
that really impacting the overall who's getting paid? And this would eliminate that. So, a lot of the business issues are pretty good. So, got a bunch of questions just rolling in here. Klaus, do you want me to read them to you, yeah, there you go. So you're going to read one live.
Is this a cloud-based tool or on-prem? It's a cloud-based tool. Mm-hmm. Currently, it's a cloud-based tool.
Yeah, and so what people just need to log in, set it up, and
Mm-hmm.
what kind of implementation are you looking for an average team of 20 people?
Implementation time, you mean?
Yeah, like how if you had a department of 20 people, like how long would that take you to roll with it?
Oh, it's the time to have like a presentation like this with HR people, with the managers involved, right? Like an hour explaining, maybe deciding how to start. Let's choose this team, or let's choose the whole, all 20 people. But the actual mechanics, it's like, importing a spreadsheet with people's names and emails. Import the spreadsheet. Explain. Hey, people, this is what we're doing. We're going to use this as an appraisal mechanism, right? I have a small video and a doc that people can use to base their instructions on, and it's it's for 20 people. It's trivial. The actual work involved,
Okay, so really, you could even to increase transparency, you can have that meeting and say, listen, do we want to do this in blocks of 5, 20, or how do you
Mm-hmm.
think we should set this up, and you could totally get their feedback and come to some sort of consensus, and then load up that Excel spreadsheet with emails, and in 15 minutes you're reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
The most important question you have to ask yourself is, do we want to hear the team or not? Do we want team feedback, or are we going to decide what people are going to get? If you want to give people autonomy, if you want people to feel the fairness and transparency, then you have to hear people's voices, right? You have to work them in such a way that they can gain the maturity, they'll gain experience in appraising each other, and then you can open results more gradually, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you want people to have some sort of opinion, Percival is the best tool to I had a 60-person team, right? We were 2 managers managing a 60-person team. I created this for myself like 20 years ago, and I used it as a secret weapons in my own companies. I'm a partner in 6 companies, in my own companies, and then in a few other partner companies started using it as well. And last year we opened it to the market, and this year we're coming, we're targeting the world as a.
Yeah, and you also have some pretty big recognizable names as customers, right? Like Roche Pharmaceuticals and
Roche Pharmaceuticals, yes, and Percival is the largest sugar and ethanol company in Brazil, and the world actually.
yeah. So it's not like it's not got some good strong backing. So I noticed there's a question, another question about
Mm-hmm.
implementation into your HR or ERP system.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you manage that? So
importing data in and out is simple through spreadsheets. If it's a specific ERP system, we are a software company by background, so doing these integrations for us is really simple. So yes, we can do this integration really easily.
And then we had
it's very little data that we use from the person, just name and email, right? And maybe a picture if you happen to have a URL for a picture. And the results is we can just send it in as a custom field for your ERP if your ERP supports custom fields, right? So yes, it's
so
very small
you'd
integration.
Want to know where, you'd want to know where those people are tagged over history, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so that's a pretty easy integration. So another question from Pitch Perfect here. Does it take into account current salaries?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for example, two guys pay
the guy whose pay.
So yeah, the guy whose pay is historically high because of the negotiations 5 years ago when he was hired in, and probably today would be a good example of that based on the current market,
Yeah.
or in person. So who is transformed from another part of the company where the pay hasn't been quite as competitive. It seems like you'd want to adjust the results to smooth things out for true equity across the team.
Okay, so what you do is you typically don't reduce people's pay, right? So what you do is when you have a budget for raises, you will give people raises to smooth out and to increase this fairness, this equity across the team. It's basically a tool for you to know where do you use your raises, your budget for raises. If it's unfortunately on the other side, right, the different decision, I have to let people go. Who am I going to let go? You might want to let go of the people who have the biggest difference, right? They get big salaries, but the team says their contribution is really small. So it's also a tool. We don't like to think it, of course. No one likes to let people go, but it's a decision you often have to take as a manager, right?
Yeah. And you have to account for this on a number of things when you're talking about different countries. And so somebody in the New York City might have a completely different pay structure compared to somebody in the Philippines, right? So there are certain considerations that need to be factored in, but this really just divides up the I'm talking like it's my product and I know, but it really just divides or shows you who deserves what or who contributed, right?
Yeah. Are people given criteria to base their ratings on? Is this about who produced the most, expertise in the area, providing insights that have allowed forward motion? I love this question. This is the greatest feedback we get from the actual users, okay, people in the teams, which is the following: hey, this appraisal is too subjective. We don't have criteria to decide. It's too subjective. So what happens is companies can use all sorts of criteria and bars, appraisal ratings. You can do all what you already do, right? You have your feedback sessions, and then someone, as I said in the beginning, it's inevitable to have a subjective step, right? Given all these objective appraisals and results and things, someone has to subjectively decide what people's pay grade are. There is no way you can have a formula for that. So what we do is we allow the team, you're allowing this subjectiveness to be resolved within the team rather than having an external entity like a manager or a committee. Okay, so yes, it is a subjective step, and but you will guide people as to what kind of things they should take into consideration. Being a subjective step doesn't mean that anything goes. Oh, I like Dave because he has like an olive shirt, and he cheers for the same team I cheer for. Being subjective doesn't mean just do. I'll give Dave a raise because he brings chocolate every morning to the team, right? That's not the idea. It's a good thing and companies can have different criteria. Okay, teams can have different criteria. To some teams, negotiation skills might be super important because they're like a sales team. For other teams, negotiation skills are irrelevant. So people normally know when people have their perception of fairness, their opinion of fairness, they take all these things into account. They aren't like crazy and have these crazy ideas. So yes, it is a subjective. We are solving the problem of subjectivity within the team. And it's good to have these discussions on what the team should consider. Yes,
and I guess those are all things that that are done in that conversation. That hour meeting that you suggest that they run with their team, and say, okay, this is what our goal is. This is what's important to us, and those things are covered.
So are people given criteria to base their ratings on? Let me have this single question here. The team or management provides guidelines for what is valued in the team company. The tool does not have multiple criteria or things like that, because it is impossible to integrate multiple criteria, as you said before. There always has to be a subjective step to go from criteria appraisals to pay grades. So Percival simply asks people, what do you think the fairest result is? Taking everything into account, all what is important to the company, all that's important to the team, all that's important to you, what you think the fairest result would be. That's what Percival does.
And do you ever get people that use it for other stuff? Like, nothing in particular is coming to. Tell me what they're using it for.
Yeah. So one of our recent customers is using Percival to rate candidates. They have many people interviewing the candidates, and they do appraisal with some people they know in the team already that are already team members, right? And these candidates, they sort of place them and compare them. So they have like a multi. Percival will integrate and give a single result, right? A collective result for a candidate appraisal process, for example.
Yeah. Do you have anybody use it for like the employee of the month or?
Not employee of the month. Some customers have decided to do rounds asking different questions, right? The question you ask people at the top there is configurable. So some of them chose to decide, which of these people have the best fit for this aspect of our culture? I don't know, proactivity or whatever. They decided to simply to gain insight, simply to gain. It's not as useful for compensation, right? But it gives you insight into whatever you would like to.
Yeah, but if you're buying the tool, right? Like ideally,
you can use it as many times as you want. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's super cool.
Unlimited use. Mm-hmm. It's $1 a month, unlimited use per person, right? $1 per person.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I wonder how long it would be you know, if your one of your coworkers and I were in there, if they would say who has the worst hair, you know, me or him.
You would win that easily, Dave.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Awesome. All right. Is there any other questions? All right. So, like I promised everybody, you'll get a copy of this. And if you have any questions, I'll, you know, revert you to the expert. I'll shoot a link out that will have Klaus's Calendly in it, so you can connect and discuss. But super amazingly simple tool and complex all in the same time. It's kind of genius. So congratulations.
Cool. Thanks. Thank you for the questions, people. It was great.
Okay, everybody. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Oh, all right. Sorry, somebody came in, but they just said thank you. Thanks, everybody. You'll have this probably within 24, 48 hours.
Bye-bye. See you.